OK, so hello everyone. Donc bonjour tout le monde. Donc pour la première présentation, on va avoir oui, c'est bien ça. Tatiana Estevez qui va présenter. So for the first presentation, we'll have Tatiana Estevez. Donc Tatiana est la fondatrice de Permalution avec une ample expérience dans le domaine de l'innovation et le développement technologique. Tatiana a également fondé Tech Quiero, une OBNL qui œuvre pour initier les femmes et les filles à la technologie, l'entrepreneuriat et l'innovation avec des opérations en 4 villes de l'Amérique du Nord. Tatiana is the founder CEO of Permalution with a great previous experience in innovation and technology development. Tatiana also founded Tech Quiero, an NGO working to introduce women and girls to technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation with operations in 4 cities in North America. So please give her a big round of applause.
Merci. Hi, thank you. I'm going to put my timer here to be respectful for time. So I was recommended to do the presentation in English, but if you have any questions en français, moi aussi je peux répondre en français. Puis si jamais vous voulez qu'on fasse plus conversation, si vous avez des questions pendant que je présente aussi, n'hésitez pas. So yes, it's great to be here. Just as a quick disclaimer, yes, I am Tatiana Estevez, founder CEO of Permalution. We're a startup that works on cloud and fog water collection technology. So it's a very different type of cloud than what people in the IT world work with. Here we are. So yeah, the presentation today, it's introducing a new water source through clouds. So did you know that according to the UN, by 2030, 2/3 of the world will not have enough water to cover their needs? There's 14 countries already under extreme drought category, and only in the US, drought has cost over $250 billion. So the solution is clouds. So as rain is considered vertical precipitation, clouds or fog are considered horizontal precipitation, and we can collect up to 3 times more water than with rain. By definition, fog and clouds are made of tiny particles of water that are suspended in the air, and we're on a mission to introduce this new water source through our world-class technology. And one funny thing about clouds, or different than rain, is that if we do not collect this water source, it goes back into the atmosphere through temperature change, and therefore is lost from the local hydric cycle. So that's what we do. We're introducing this new water source through our world-class technology, which comprises 3 units or 3 steps. The first step, it's an algorithm that we call the Fog Atlas that pinpoints where the equation of clouds or fog meet within a region for us to collect it as a water source. Nowadays, fogs and cloud are being measured mainly in airports for visibility, mobility reasons, but not to be understood as a water source. So that's why we developed the first 2 units, the Fog Atlas. Once we have these hotspots of where we should be installing this project, we set up the second stage, which is the water radar. This is a set of meteorological sensors conceived to analyze the cloud and the fog as a water source. So it provides the quality of the water, what are the estimated yields, how much water we're going to get from the project, and we build a cost-benefit analysis for the clients or the partners so that they can make data-driven decisions. So once we know what type of water we have, what are the implications for the installation, how much water we can get for each project, we set up the third unit, which is at this point the hardware that collects the water. We call them fog collectors, and the main technology behind it, or how it works, is it's a passive technology. It does not require energy to run. It's mainly this hydrophilic property membrane that once the cloud or the fog passes through this membrane, it retains the droplets of water that are suspended in the air. It goes into a gutter, and then depending on the application, filtration system, a cistern, artificial water mass, irrigation point, etc. So on average, on our projects, we've been collecting from 150 to 400 liters of water per day per unit. With our record so far has been 300 liters in 6 hours. And it's a very, very good quality of water unless it passes through a city or a mining site and it gets some pollutants or contaminants, but it's naturally desalinated, which is a great option both for coastal fog or coastal regions or elevation places. So we go high enough that we can touch the cloud. That's where we are doing our projects at the moment. And we are addressing 3 major inflection points at once. So we have proprietary data on all from the algorithm and the water radar that we gather. It's innovative hardware, and also for the experience to the clients, we provide turnkey solutions with installation, maintenance, and so on. So this is a project we're currently doing in the Middle East. This is our largest project so far. These are renders because of some IP strategies that we are deploying. I am not putting actual images, but I have some other projects that we did in the past. So this is the first project that we're deploying with the modules we're producing in Mexico from our new manufacturing facility. So this is a project for agriculture that we're doing with a government-owned partner in the Middle East, and we're now looking to expand both to Saudi Arabia and Morocco. And we have done several projects also in North America. So our moat, our strong suit is that we have the most unique database to understand clouds and fog as a water source. We use over 6 different types of data sources to feed the algorithm. We have mapped already 25% of the world for the best spots to do this type of projects. So we can also know where our next clients or partners are going to be. And we have collected over 900,000 minutes of data so far. The IP belongs fully to Permalution. So we are more affordable than desalination plants. We're more efficient than rain, and we're safer than groundwater extraction. So also in terms of atmospheric water conversion from relative humidity, also given our technology does not require energy to run, we can go into places where other atmospheric water conversion systems cannot go. And we have a new application coming up this year. So we're still tapping into floating water, but we're gonna start doing industrial steam recycling we're gonna start with a data center in Europe, and then we're gonna move to other steam using industries such as breweries, textiles, and it's a new market. We don't need to be exposed to fog and clouds in order to tap into this water source as well. So that's very exciting for us. And yes, we're offering software, data analysis, and hardware for fog and cloud water collection projects. So the services are the optimization through the data and the software, products with a recurring revenue model in the membrane that gets changed every so often to keep it in optimal mode. And we are transitioning into a new business model to provide water as a service, so mainly for the mining industry. They're interested in paying for the water at the end of the month instead of buying the modules and working with them. So it's an interesting revenue model that we're gonna have, but we're integrating it to implement it in the next 2 years. So, and we have, well, profit margins of on average 80% per project, which is pretty good for investors. So the strategy at the moment, we're tackling mainly agriculture, water utility service in terms of applications, data centers for steam recycling this year. Our main clients are governments that have their water utility services and private companies that have ESG agendas. And in the next 5 years, we're gonna tap into mining, food and beverages. We're already looking into some pilots with some of the largest alcohol owners and brands in the world. And also we're gonna go into the carbon trading market. There's a new blue carbon credit associated to water, which is very interesting as well. And yes, we're gonna look to integrate cloud seed technology. I don't know if you ever heard about this technology that builds clouds, also mainly very strong in the Middle East. So it's done through shooting particles of ionized silver, either through a canyon or a plane. It builds the clouds. They use it mainly for rain, but it doesn't always rain, and it never rains where they want it to rain. So we're going to strategically drain those clouds. So yes, we're technically milking clouds. That's what we do. And right now we have 3 projects committed in new markets and 2 projects in R&D with our partners at the University of Toronto. It's our 3rd year doing R&D with them. We're very happy. And we're very strong in SDG and ESG reporting. For some of our clients, this is very important as well. And we have a whole team working on this. These are mainly the SDGs that we cover per projects, but they change, and the impact metric measurements also change depending on the application of each project. We got a shout out from Google at the World Water Week at the end of last year as one of their favorite startups for sustainable development. So we were very happy about that. taking advantage of the GDG theme. And a little bit about me and where all this came from. So yes, my family has been very important in what it's yes, the influence it has on me. Both my parents are engineers. Back in Argentina, they were both entrepreneurs as well. I always admire what they did, and it wasn't strange to see my mom coming at the same time with my dad at home from doing their entrepreneurship stuff. I was mind blown when I was a kid from this movie. I don't know if you saw Donald in Mathemagic Land. That opened my mind to math. I always liked math. I was very good in math. I'm still very good in math. And I think this had a lot to do with that. Also, the role models, women in tech, in engineering, in STEM. It's always been a huge motivation for me. And let me breathe, I'm sorry. I started to get very excited. And finally, another movie that blew my mind was Green Gold. It's available on YouTube if it's something that interests you. And it's about how we can use regenerative agriculture and techniques based on native and ancient practices to heal the world. And that gave me a little bit the seed that helped me build Permalution later. So for me, it's very important also, if you haven't heard of the term ikigai, about finding your purpose and where it lays, I think it's very important as an entrepreneur. So for those who are thinking about launching your own projects or doing your own thing, there's gonna be times where days are gonna be tougher than other ones, and connecting to the why we're doing this, it's key. So if you're not in love as much with the problem than the solution that you're working with, it's gonna be very hard to go all the way through that. And a quote from Aristotle that I really like, it's where your talents and the world's need cross, there lies your vocation. And I had this idea coming out of university, and I like to tell students, just as a raise of hand, who here are students? Oh, wonderful, yes, you're my audience, wonderful. So I had the idea coming out of university. I graduated from the University of Ottawa. I graduated in business administration and arts administration. Nowadays, everyone assumes I'm an engineer. I am by vocation. But the fact that I started this idea straight from university, I wasn't contaminated by industry practices and so on. So I graduated from the University of Ottawa. I went to California. It was always my dream to go backpacking there, and that's where I realized that it was the first time I was in a drought-impacted situation. It shocked me to learn, yes, that the US had lost over $250 billion because of the irrigation cuts and economic losses, but it also shocked me to learn that farmers were taking their lives because of these irrigation cuts and economic losses that they were suffering. So for me, why being an entrepreneur? Because this is my own personal view. I get to implement the vision that I want for the future, build unique skills and opportunities as well. Even though I spent the whole year after university working on this, I then took 4 years back into the corporate world. I was working as head of innovation at Bosch Innovation Center in Mexico, in Guadalajara. And I got to work with many people from Google, from Facebook, and something that they told me in common, especially the people from HR, is that one of the basic things that they look for someone they want to hire at Google or Facebook is that they're at least a failed entrepreneur. So that allows them to know that they try something, they manage their time, they have some vision. So it's a basic thing we look for people that we employ. So I thought that it was very interesting, and I think that coming out of university or studies, it's a good moment to be an entrepreneur. I think that yeah, some people have told me, oh, I would just want to wait to finish a master's or to have more industry expertise, or I'm always going to wait. We're never going to be fully ready, so just do it. And yes, I like to think about future generations, that we're doing something meaningful for them as well, and that I'm being part of a solution for something. So some advice in terms of what I lived in this whole journey that hasn't been straightforward. It hasn't been easy, but it has been definitely worth it. It's learning diverse skills. Tech skills and soft skills are also very important, knowing how to adapt depending on who you're talking with, or to And also, there's a really good book that I like that it's called What Brought You Here Will Not Get You There. So it's the whole mindset of we always need to keep improving and working and becoming the person we need to be for the next stage and the next objectives. Also, public speaking. Some engineers have asked me, and people with very, very technical backgrounds, what should I do to be more into public speaking? And I always recommend take theater classes. For me, it's what made the whole difference. After doing some silly things in front of a huge audience, I'm not afraid to saying or doing anything. So if you have that fear, I do recommend that you work on it that way. That's what it worked for me. Again, focusing on the why you do things. Sometimes, yes, it's nice to do what you love. I love doing what I'm doing, but there are days where I have to do things that I don't really enjoy doing, even if it's for the business. I don't like accounting, the legal stuff, talking to the lawyers, but it's part of what I have to do, and I learn to do it regardless if I love it or not. So that's another good skill to have. Focus on the problem as well. Sometimes I've seen a lot of people, and I've done other entrepreneurship efforts before Permalution and after Permalution. Not all of them worked. And the difference is that here I was focusing on the problem rather than a solution for something. I then tried to find a problem too. So that's one of the things. And I was also very focused always on having the best technology, making sure everything works. And I realized that it's not so much about the story that I'm telling or the logo or the image or the technology. But after I did the first sale, that's when everything changed. That's when investors even finally looked at us. We were considered for many options, and that's something as an entrepreneur I would have liked to focus more from the beginning. And I think we're good with time, yes? Wonderful. And also first fail, I like that acronym, first attempt in learning, fail like a winner, fail fast, keep going, it's part of the deal. Failing, it's part of being successful, and it's not the opposite. So sometimes that's what we fear, and I'm included. And I'm gonna leave you with one quote that I really enjoy and like as well. So the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. So thank you very much, and I'm ready to take your questions if you have any, and happy to share all of this with you.
So thank you for this great presentation. Is there any questions? So I had maybe one. Oh, or if yeah.
That's a great question. So starting the company, I had other different challenges than the ones that I have now. So the first challenges that I had coming out straight from university was a bit of the credibility. And when I would go pitch in Silicon Valley, the idea a few years ago, several years ago, I remember my counterpart colleagues would get feedback on like the technology, the technical stuff. And for me, it was like, wear more makeup, try to look older, like they're gonna take you more seriously. And it was a little bit, sometimes it would make some noise. And the first clients we had in Mexico also, for the first times that we were selling projects, they would ask me, okay, so this is really cool, yeah, we're moving forward, but when is your boss coming? I'm like, this is me. No, yeah, but the guy you report to. It's like, well, this is it, man. Like, I don't have anyone. I can bring my dad if you want, like a male figure, but so now I make sure that when I enter a room, it's clear who's the CEO, who's the boss, let's say. Nowadays, in terms of the challenges that I face, right now, the main challenge is in the companies that we have way more demand that we can cover. It's been a growth very exponential, and we've tried for it not to be very violent in the company and still have a steady pace on it. But also the investment scenario, women in Canada, we receive less than 3% of the investment and capital available, and women from Latin backgrounds, it's less than 1%. So sometimes going into meetings with investors, I've learned how to direct the questions to where I want them to go, because sometimes we also get questions that male counterparts wouldn't get. Like I've been asked already, like, I want to invest in you, but are you planning on having kids or like getting pregnant anytime soon? I'm like, no, give me your money. So I'll answer what I know that maybe the question is not in the right place. They want to know if I'm committed to the project and so on, but sometimes it comes off a little bit rough. But yes, I would say those are the main challenges right now, and also focusing on the applications we're doing. We're getting pulled into way many different directions. Water, it's very key to many things, and we need to focus on one market, one application before moving to the other one. So that's been a challenge as well, saying no to some opportunities. Yes. My pleasure, thank you. Okay, so that's a very good question. I see Permalution as being a point of reference for this new water source worldwide, a multinational company. We're already looking into partnerships with some of the key players in the water industry around the world, so we can build partnerships for distribution, for manufacturing, and all that. So we see making a difference not only for displaced populations and humanitarian development, which is very important, also for private companies that are in need of water. And maybe, who knows, in the next 5-10 years, do an exit in the company and start some other very cool projects as well. But yes, that's how I see us in the next, let's say, 5-10 years. Yes, it's okay. That's a great question. So I would say it's a mix of all of them. We are part of the Google Accelerator program for startups in sustainability. So we've been working with them for 2-3 years already, where they've been guiding us into some applications. We've been talking with experts for our performance. They certified us for the impact metric measurement. So we've been on their radar. And we've been delivering results. They've seen us grow in these 2-3 years. They actually invited me to the COP28 in December. I met with Google's Vice President, Yossi Matias, and it's been quite an experience. But fog and cloud water collection is as old as rainwater collection. It's way less known because we need some meteorological factors to ensure a very good project. And I would say 85%, 90% of the other actors in the industry that are doing fog and cloud water collection are NGOs or research spin-offs. So we are, our value added is that we provide turnkey solutions with installation, maintenance. We are constantly improving our modules. We do optimization services. For example, our largest project that we sold last year to the government of Abu Dhabi, they said you won by default. There were 4 other companies that were competing for this call for proposals, let's say. And you won because first, we don't deal with charities, so there was only one for-profit company besides you that was there, and they don't do any software, any data analysis. We would just get a box. We don't know how to install it. That's it. So you guys got the contract. And we were like, oh, that's very interesting. Thank you. We're happy. But it also gives us a perspective on how other companies are approaching this and how we are different than them and where our strong suit is as well. So yes, I would say the culture part as well, how we're very lucky that we had investors that are women founders, women founding women, and that they really see our vision, they share what we're doing, and that has also been key for our growth because they're constantly championing for us, bringing us to events, presenting us to potential clients, guiding us into this growth. So I would say it's a mix of all those factors that made us stand out and get those very nice mentions. Yes. Yeah, no, thank you for the question. That's a great one too. We actually, the first paid pilots that we had and the first project we did were with NGOs and more on the social impact side, but it was very long sales cycles. They don't have a lot of budget, so we decided to go where we could grow the faster, and then we can jump into those applications. But at the moment, our plan for that, we started working with USAID, the largest humanitarian development agency in North America. So they invited us to Washington. They want us to become one of their suppliers for the regions where, and the bases around the world where they operate that could be a candidate for our technology and solutions. So the idea is to sell to them, and they will implement it in the regions where they are operating. Because what we saw also with the social impact and working with communities is that it takes a lot of time to build that trust, that relationship, and it's learn about their ways. We cannot just come in with a technology and implement it and just leave. But they have already all those years of connectivity with them or relationships and building the community where they work. For example, Africa, it's a place where we see a lot of potential. There are some great places where we could install this type of projects. But we need to learn about how to go into that market, and it's very helpful that they have bases in almost every country in Africa for us to just sell it to them, and they work with the communities they're already working with. That's our strategy on how we plan to cover the humanitarian development and social impact side. Yes, the plan is to not leave everyone behind. I know that, yes, the private companies and private investors, they are the ones that have the money, and money, it's what right now makes the world go round kind of thing, but we don't want to leave that part off. It's very important to us as well, and it's part of why we started doing this in the first place too. Thank you. No, that's a great question. So the technology that we're using for all of our projects so far that has been commercialized, it's, yes, only for fog and cloud water collection. But we just designed, just left the R&D stage, a new module, a new product that we built. We're testing the first pilot this year also in the Middle East that integrates both fog water collection and atmospheric water conversion. So it's a hybrid module. When it senses that it's not that the fog seasonality is coming down, it goes into active mode and starts pulling relative humidity from the place. So that's a great application we saw for the Middle East, because all of the projects before the Middle East that we've done, they were exposed 80% of the year to fog or clouds. But in the Middle East, it's 50% and less, even though it's a very strong seasonality when it happens. But we were thinking, okay, how can we do something that works all year round? So that's why we developed that new product that's going to be tested this year. And in terms of Egypt, we actually were approached by some actors in Egypt for this type of application. We haven't mapped Egypt yet. We have mapped Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, the United Arab Emirates, and Morocco, and mainly the Caribbean, North America, and some places in Europe. But it's on our list. Egypt, it's on our list because there is demand as well for that place. We heard also about the Nile situation that's going on. So stay tuned. If you want to leave me your email, and I can let you know once we finalize the mapping for Egypt. But yes, we're already talking with some partners there that are very interested in implementing it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks.